Nice guys finish last. It's the truth. There's a reason that we have these sayings, and it is the truth. And I am going to explain that in this video. Welcome to True Sovereignty. On this channel, we are mastering our minds so we can reclaim our peace. Quick disclaimer or heads up. There's been some creators lately, female creators, who have kind of come out saying that they get a lot of harassment online. Men going into their emails, which the reason we give our emails is for professional purposes. Just know, I'm giving you a warning to the men out there. I've already had this happen. Please do not use these emails to flirt or to hit on us or to try to ask us out or ask us for photos. Please don't do that. Because, you know, me and these other female creators, we do this to help people. We are here to help people. And, you know, we are not OnlyFans creators, okay? If you really want to see a woman's personal photos, go check if she has an OnlyFans, because they're literally volunteering their photos. We as mental health creators or spiritual content creators, that's not what we're doing, okay? That's not what we're doing here. So, like this video, stop being kind. Yeah, I'm not gonna be kind to you if you go into my email and utilize it to ask for sexual favors or something of that nature. I'm just not going to be, because I've already surpassed my patience level with that type of crap. And you'll see in this video why I don't think you have to be kind all the time. So it's something that women are fed a lot, that we have to be kind and we have to be polite and we have to be ladylike. Yeah, well, that's not me. So if you're gonna hit on somebody, if you're gonna ask for somebody's photos, don't do it to creators who, we're here to help people, you know? I'm giving you my free time to help you sort out your mental health issues. I'm not here to be eye candy or whatever you want me to be, you know? That's not what we're here for, okay? So let's get into the fucking video. Kill him with kindness. Be kind, everyone's suffering. Be the bigger person. Apologize. A lot of this shit that I'm gonna say is gonna sound contradictory, but another video I will make is that people just don't understand nuance these days. And the nuance of being kind and being able to discern when to be kind and when to put your foot down is important in this life. It's the difference between being a doormat and being the arbiter of your own life. What is this channel called? It's called True Sovereignty. My last name is True, spelled T-R-E-U, and sovereignty is essentially having onus of one's self. It's having power and control over your own self. And this can happen in many ways. When you take control of your mental health, when you take control of your emotions, when you take control of your boundaries, when you take control of yourself on a governing level, even within a literal government. When you are so independent that you rely on nobody, that is sovereignty. And in order to gain sovereignty, which is the goal on this channel, you have to stand up for yourself. You can't always be kind to people, because your kindness, it will be taken advantage of. Now, don't get me wrong. You should do things like help the little old lady across the street and pick something up if somebody drops something. Or give to charity or volunteer or give somebody a compliment or a smile. Absolutely. But if someone's crossing your boundaries or someone's disrespecting you, we've been brainwashed to be the bigger person and to brush it off and to walk away. No, I don't agree with that shit. Kindness is not always the answer. And, you know, the type of people I hate the most in this world are the people who preach kindness, but are anything but. And you can tell that they are that type of kind person if they preach it incessantly, but their history or their background or their past says otherwise. And not only that, but they look down upon you and they talk down to you and they condescend you if you are not preaching kindness, if you are not doing exactly what they're doing, if you don't believe the same things that they believe. In other words, virtue signalers. It's like they have a shadow that they're trying to hide. They are overcompensating for their shadow that they are hiding. And they want to seem important. They want to seem like they have a purpose, like they have this identity, but it's just a mask. And they're masking their meanness, their misery, with kindness. Let's take, for example, Ellen DeGeneres. She was the kind lady who preached kindness, and what did we find out? That she's a bitch. She's a fucking bitch. Which is not surprising as a, you know, billionaire celebrity or whatever. It's not surprising, but nonetheless, it did still shock me when it came out that she was a bitch, because she did very well present herself as a kind person. So, don't be intimidated by people who pressure you to think like they do and do as they do, because what they're doing is the right ultimate thing. So that's number one. Do not let people pressure you into thinking the way they do, doing what they do, just because they're coming from a place of kindness. You know, I would actually be very wary of those types of people. Kindness has been put on us like a mass gaslighting in society. And it's very frustrating because, you know, there is an element of toxic positivity where it's like, okay, smile if you're angry, or be agreeable just so you don't ruffle feathers, or shrink yourself to keep the peace. Don't stir the pot. Especially to women. It's really preached to women that we need to be more docile and agreeable and empathetic in order to be ladylike and to be a real lady. You know, it's very frustrating because when a woman is angry, when a woman has, you know, perceived negative emotions, she's perceived as bossy or bitchy, while a man who has these same exact emotions, anger or possible aggression or passion or anything, it's labeled that he's strong, that he's powerful, that he's a man's man, you know? It's like, it's very frustrating as a woman when you're just seen as a plain old bitch because you don't agree with every single thing that is preached to society to be good for society. And it's like, no, I don't have to do that. I can discern for myself, you know, what's what I'm gonna believe, what I'm gonna think. If, you know, the society has become people pleasers. It's like an epidemic of people pleasers. And you know, I've met a lot of people pleasers in my life. Unfortunately, my father was a people pleaser. My best friend was a people pleaser. And what I learned about these people, you know, at first you think, oh, they're great, they're virtuous. They just want people to be happy, they want to keep the peace. Oh, that's so great. They're not doing it out of kindness and empathy, like genuine kindness and empathy towards people. They're doing it out of selfishness. If you are a people pleaser, you're a people pleaser because you're protecting yourself. You care what others think of you. You want people to like you. You want to be included. You want to be involved. That is why a lot of people virtue signal. That is why a lot of people please. But not only that, other words for people pleasers are doormats, pushovers, pussies. You might know the term happy wife, happy life. People who have who are living other people's lives. People who are, living the life that their parents wanted for them, not the life they want for themselves. People who become doctors when they really wanted to become a guitarist. Men who are just trying to keep their wife happy so they don't argue with her, It's like, these people are unfortunately a little sad. And I'm sorry if you're one of those people. You can change, though. You can change. But it's almost a little bit sociopathic without realizing it, because you're not thinking about others in this way. You're thinking about yourself and trying to do everything in your power to not get ostracized from the tribe, which of course is a very human thing. Back in the day, we didn't want to be ostracized from the tribe because that meant death, very likely death. But nowadays, we don't have to bend the knee to please people, okay? You shouldn't be afraid to be disliked. You can't please people because people can't be pleased. People can only please themselves. People can only satisfy themselves. And this includes people close to you, your partner, your children, your best friend, your family members. You have no control over how they feel about you or how they feel about what you've done, no matter what it is. So just give up. Stop caring so much what people think about you. What is the thing that we need to be? Because remember I said, nice guys finish last. Nice guys do finish last. But that does not mean that mean guys finish first. What it means is that we need to be somewhere in the middle. And what I think that is authenticity. Authenticity is the best thing a human being can have. Being real. Just be real. If you like it, say you like it. If you don't like it, say you don't like it. If you want to, say you want to. If you don't want to, say no. Don't be afraid to say no. Be real. Being authentic is the most attractive frequency you will ever be on, honestly. Being positive and having love and light isn't necessarily the highest frequency. It's being real. It's being who you truly are. And being who you truly are means not everybody's gonna like you. It means that you're gonna disagree with a lot of people. It means that you're gonna lose people. Because a lot of people can't handle the fact that you don't agree with them. Unfortunately, they're fucking children. But being authentic, you yourself can say, just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I want you out of my life. But then you can't control what the other person wants, of course. Everybody has a dark side. Everybody gets angry. Everybody gets sad and depressed and frustrated. And we don't allow that in society. We just don't. I know growing up, I was considered really annoying and a burden as a child if I was not happy. If I was not happy, smiling, and calm, I was considered to be a burden, and that fucked me up in my adulthood. It made me think that having, more negatively perceived emotions was bad and shameful and horrific. And that just causes pent-up resentment and inner anger that just doesn't feel very good. And, you know, at the end of the day, we want to be our true selves, because our true selves is where we're going to vibrate the highest. And that's where, you know, vibrating the highest attracts the highest, right? Why do you think, you know, big CEOs and, you know, presidents and people in the higher levels of corporations or governments or whatever, why do you think they're kind of assholes? Why do you think a lot of them are narcissistic or sociopaths or psychopaths? Because holding off on empathy, moving through life with logic and rationality and not just based on how you feel, is going to push you further. This is not to say that I agree that everybody at the top should be a psychopath. That's not what I'm saying. I wish that weren't the truth, honestly. But what I am saying is that a balance of healthy empathy and healthy logic and rationality combined is the best result. It will give you the best result in your life. It will give you the best result in a corporation. It will give you the best result in a government, okay? You need to have a little bit of both. I'm not saying have a little bit of psychopathy with your empathy. I'm saying have a little bit of logic, calculation, analytics, common sense, rationality, with, of course, your empathy and consideration. But, you know, there's that saying, facts don't really care about your feelings. And that's true. When we're talking about serious issues or serious problems, we need to get to the core and the facts of the matter, or else nothing's ever going to get solved. If we constantly are worrying about how people feel, that's going to set us back. I'm sorry to say. You got to let people have their feelings hurt sometimes. It makes them a little stronger, I promise. But how do you be authentic? You know, I can just say, well, just be yourself. But what is being yourself? What is being your true sovereign self? Having boundaries, not being afraid to say no, not being afraid to cancel plans, not being afraid to say, I don't have time for that. Being authentic also means standing up for what you believe. These days, it's so easy to get trapped in an echo chamber and not have to think, not have to do your own research. You just believe what your family thinks or what your friends are thinking or what your coworkers are thinking, as opposed to standing up. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you to get in front of your coworkers and say, I don't agree with that in the politic world. That's why we don't discuss politics with coworkers. Obviously, use your discernment when it's appropriate to stand up for what you believe. This doesn't have to be a political thing. This could be something with in a relationship. You know, you could say, no, I don't agree with you. I'm sorry, that's just not how I do things. And I think that we should be doing it this way. Not backing down because you don't want to ruffle your partner's feathers or you don't want to start an argument. If you have a good partner, typically your arguments are going to be productive. Calling out bad behavior, even when it makes you uncomfortable. This could be like saying to your friend, hey, every time we go out, you get so wasted and we have to end up babysitting you, and it just doesn't end up to be very fun for us, honestly. So stop getting wasted out of your mind or we're not going to go out with you anymore. You might lose that friend. You really might. But at least you are calling out their bad behavior. And look, if you call out someone's bad behavior, you might actually wake them up. That might be the first time they're actually hearing some constructive criticism in their life. There's a difference between being cruel and mean and a bully and being honest and blunt. Okay? I'm not telling you to go up to people and say, you smell bad, or your shirt sucks, or anything like that, anything stupid or petty. I'm not saying to do that. What I'm saying is, use honesty where honesty needs to be heard. And be blunt about it, because if you're a little too kind about it, or a little too, sugarcoating it, people might not take you seriously. People might not take what you're saying seriously. Just say what you mean. Now, as a woman, I get called loud and abrasive. I get told that I'm too much, that I'm way too opinionated and way too outspoken. Yeah, men don't really get told that. I just get told that because I'm a woman, and society has been taught that women are supposed to be quiet and docile and polite. So if you are a woman watching this and you want to have more power in your life, don't be afraid if people start to come at you with criticisms, because you don't have to accept people's criticisms. You can say, well, I don't take criticism from someone whose life I don't respect. Like, you're an unemployed loser. I'm not going to sit here and be called loud and too much by an unemployed loser. That's just an example. You don't have to call him a loser, but I'm just saying, you have a right. Don't be afraid to say, shut up. Let me speak. Obviously, I would say refrain from name calling and saying, shut up. You can do this in a professional way, in a firm, confident way. And I would actually recommend that, because people will actually respect you when you are firm but respectful. Like I said, when you start to become who you truly are, authentic, you're going to lose people. I lost friends of 20 years. My family gets mad at me often because I'm a little outspoken and I have a low tolerance for bullshit, for bad behavior. And I would consider the members of my family to be a bit emotionally immature at times, and I get a little bit sick of that. So you're going to lose people. You're going to upset people. You're going to make people mad and frustrated. People are going to say, you hurt my feelings. People are going to say, I'm offended. I'm triggered. You're mean. You're horrible. You're going to get all sorts of shit. I promise you. But you can't let that scare you. You can't be afraid to be alone. This is where being alone comes in handy, because you might go through a period of solitude, because now you're saying what you mean, you're saying your true political beliefs, or you're coming out and you're calling out bad behavior. You will get backlash, most likely, especially if you have been living in this docile, passive way. You're definitely going to lose people. The thing is, the people who stay, they're the real ones. They're the real ones. The people who love you and will take your constructive criticism and want your constructive criticism, those are the people that you want in your life. You want a filter. You want to be able to filter who stays and who goes. And you can do that easily by being authentic. So you're going to lose people, but you're going to gain better people. And that might take time. It might take a year. It might take 2 years. Just remember, 1 year, 2 years, it's not that long. Think about what you were doing a year ago today. Does it not feel like just yesterday? Like, yes, the hours that go by, the nights that tick by, they feel very slow in the moment. But when you look back, it's all gone so fast. So just realize that if you start fresh, if you start from scratch, if you start over somewhere, it'll only take maybe one to 3 years to really rebuild your life. And it's not that long. It's really not that long. So endure it, build a better life, build the life that you want for you. Just remember, every time you want to go back to being more of a people pleaser, just know that every time you people please, you're abandoning yourself, okay? People pleasers abandon themselves. They're not helping anybody, because when you abandon yourself, how are you supposed to be there for the people you care about if you're constantly abandoning yourself? This is how I felt with my father. I felt that he was a passive type of a guy, and he couldn't even protect himself. So he couldn't protect us, his children, and it really messed us up in a lot of ways. And you know, if you are a father or a mother or a friend or a lover or a coworker, you need to protect yourself. If you don't protect yourself, who's going to protect you? You need to stand up for yourself, because who's going to stand up for you? It's like they say on a plane, always put your mask on first before helping others. So you yourself need to become sovereign. You yourself need to become authentic. And then you can do what you naturally would like to do, which is be kind and be empathetic and be compassionate in an authentic manner, in a genuine manner. When you do that, you can actually inspire others to be like you. Inspire others who don't have a voice. When you yourself have a voice, like me on this YouTube channel, you inspire others to have a voice. You inspire others to speak out. So you're speaking out and saying what you mean is not only protecting you, it's protecting others. It's inspiring others to also be authentic and be themselves. So just say fuck it. You really don't owe anyone fake kindness, fake smiles. Especially, you know, I know women have a lot of this problem with men. You know, if you reject a man who's coming on to you in a nice way, he won't go the fuck away, right? He will be persistent. But if you reject a man in a mean way, you're an ugly bitch who was never even attractive anyway. You know, it's like you can't win. So you know what I say to that? Fuck it. You're never going to be perceived by other people as good and great and cool and awesome and kind all the time. There's always going to be someone who thinks you're horrible. There's always going to be someone who thinks you're a lying bitch. There's always going to be someone who thinks you're abrasive. There will always be someone. So stand up for yourself and do it in a firm manner. And if you have to, be a bitch. I'm not joking. I'm not lying when I'm saying that. I'm not joking when I'm saying that. You will gain respect from people. You will inspire people. You will be taken seriously. You will be the example of what real self-worth actually looks like. And because I watched my dad be more of a passive person in his own life, that is how I said to myself, I never want to be like that. I never want my job to constantly be fucking me. I never want a partner to constantly be controlling me. I never want to be cringy. Okay, hear me out. When I see people, like my people-pleasing friend, who's no longer a friend anymore, because of that, when I see a friend people-pleasing, you know, you'll see your friends in an authentic manner. They'll be themselves around you, but then you see them out in the wild being their fake, nice, overly, overcompensating selves. And it makes you cringe. It's so fake. It's so disingenuous. It makes something inside of you go, ugh. And I did have to watch that with my dad. and some friends, and, you know, even people like celebrities, you'll see it, you know. If any time you ever cringe at someone being like overly nice or overly charismatic, it's because you sense their fakeness. You sense something within them trying to overcompensate for whatever, their insecurities, their feeling of like this lack of worth or autonomy in their own life. So they feel like they have to be extra ultra nice to please everybody. And the worst part is, a lot of people who experience this, you know, like let's say a child, for example, they watch their parent out there in the wild being nice, overly nice to everybody, to the point where it's actually sickening. And then that parent comes home to their children, they don't get the same overly nice version. They don't get the same charitable human being. It's very disheartening, because it's like, why do strangers get better treatment than your own family? It's a shame. It's a shame. So I decided I'm not going to follow in his footsteps. And if anything, I might take it a little too far at times. Sometimes I'm a little too abrasive, and that might be one of my shadow aspects. And I've accepted that about myself, that maybe I'm overcompensating for this idea in my head that I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to be passive. I don't want people to step on me, especially since I'm a small woman. You know, people will rarely take me seriously just by looking at me. I'm 5'1", I'm a woman, and people tend to approach me almost like I'm a child sometimes, and it does make me want to look tougher by wearing black and dark colors and big boots and, you know, maybe like a resting bitch face and, you know, walking around like a tough girl. It makes me want to do that because, no, I don't want to be looked at like I'm a delicate little flower. Even though sometimes I am a delicate little flower. I don't want to be looked at like one. So, yes, sometimes I do also overcompensate. But I've learned there is a balance. And because I've done my shadow work, I'm less defensive about everything. And I'm more just like, no, you're not going to talk to me like that. Like, we're not going to do that today. So, don't be afraid to be disliked. Don't be afraid to be alone. The universe has your back. You are never alone. And when you become your most authentic self, you will attract people into your life that vibe with you, that are meant for you, that think just like you do. It'll be like synchronistic. The right people will come into your life at the right time. Not only that, you'll feel more peace, you'll feel more powerful, you'll feel more strong, you'll feel like you have more autonomy in your own fucking life. You'll choose better partners, you'll choose better jobs, you'll choose better situations because you know what you deserve. You know your worth. It's just inevitable. This is part of being sovereign. So stop listening so much to society and the guilt tripping of virtue signalers and just be you. If more people did that, this world would be a better place. Okay? We don't need more kindness. We don't need your kindness. We need your authenticity. We need the real you. We don't need this fake kind version of you. Do good, be good, sure. I would never assert that I'm a good person because there are people out there who don't think I'm a good person, right? Whether it's political beliefs or something I've said to them or something I did that they didn't agree with or whatever. There's people out there that don't think I'm good. So this is what I do. I say, hey, you get to know me and you determine from your perspective if you think I'm a good person. Now for me, do I think I'm a good person? I think I'm a real person. I think I have integrity and morals and values and principles that I lead by in my life. And I don't back away from those. I have respect for myself. I have inherent respect for other people. But I'm also not going to let you disrespect me or walk all over me. It's a balance. So as long as you have those solid morals, principles, and values, you shouldn't stray. If you're afraid that you're a bad person, like a lot of religious people feel that way. They feel that if they don't have their Bible, they could be doing something bad. If you're afraid that you're a bad person, you're probably not, because bad people aren't afraid of being bad people. So just know that most likely you're not a bad person. What, I think it's only like, 6% of the world is actually like really lacking empathy. You're probably fine. You're probably not. If you were, you probably wouldn't be watching this channel at all, because typically those people aren't self-aware. But you're probably fine, ultimately. But I would never assert that I'm a good person, because I don't have to. You can get to know me and figure it out for yourself. I know who I am. You can't tell me otherwise. And I can't control how you perceive me, so why would I try? That's all I have to say in this video. If you like this content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Email me if you need mental health advice or sovereignty advice. But please don't ask me for sexy photos or anything of that nature. Please, just do not. And I might have to say this in every video because I just don't want to ever deal with something like this. Like other content creators have been talking about, and it just sounds like an absolute nightmare. So don't do that. But I'm not going to leave the platform. Even if that does happen, I'm just going to keep shouting about it. So, I will see you in the next video. I don't know what the next video is going to be about, but it's going to be fucking good. Alright, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.